part of being human is the ability to fail. Now that's big. I think we will come back to that because that seems like something you could pontificate on. You know, and how a simple checklist can reduce the chances of failure. All right. And the last one I want to say that stuck out to me. Use checklists to make you think twice. Now that's pretty good. You know, I mean, using a checklist, and we find it, so we use it in accounting. In theory, we use it, but we got to get better. That's one of the things that Nicole and I actually talked about yesterday. Like, we're gonna discipline our whole process. It's not like a one person thing, because the biggest culprit is me. But you know, like that, I'm you know, but getting to training yourself to go off checklists,
right?
It takes you know, there's a training period.
There's a discipline to it.
Oh, it's a complete discipline to it. So in the last couple of weeks, I actually just on my daily checklist or my task checklist, I really I've stepped up productivity because I've trained myself to actually follow the checklist. One thing that I find is that the checklist sometimes is too condensed. So you'll have a checklist like do marketing, hypothetically. Well, that's not a task.
No, it's not.
You know, that's not like a task that's broken down.
The idea.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's something it's a mission. That's a mission. That's not, it doesn't get to the tactical level as we like to talk about here. So, you know, I find for me in checklists is the more tactical the checklist can be, the more I can build a habit off of it.
Right.
But I've had things like even I had part of it is like look at the online advertising. So I got online advertising. That's a category. That's not a like what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing about you have to but you know, with this thing, you got to learn how to use task lists. You have to learn how to build them. You have to learn to make them effective for yourself. So that's really what one of the things, my takeaways. But you know, that part of being human and failing thing is really deep.
Right.
That's because I mean, if you in the game, you gonna fail at something. You know, I mean, like I failed at not buying this morning. He ain't got no sponsorship. A lot of product placement on this show, man.
Soon come.
Yeah, but the product placement is ridiculous around here. You know, but that's what it is. But checklists, they apply to anything. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it provides a repeatable process to minimize mistakes. Hence your double checking of a checklist, right? It's like, you know, measure 10 times, cut once. Mm-hmm. Right. And you know, and to the other point, getting really specific, you know, it's an exercise that you can get good at down the road once you stay consistent. But you know, how many of us just, you know, jot something down, you know, put something in our phone, text somebody, you know, a to do, but it's not really a to do, it's really a vague idea or a thought, right? Yeah. And you know, we and then there's sub to dos in the to dos, so you got a task and subtask. So helping to identify that helps, you know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but taking the time to actually go back
and check it, yeah, that's the key.
Your stuff, yeah, that's
the key. That's the key.
Yeah, that's something you know, people don't know. You know, because a lot of this stuff, when we talk about it with business, though, a lot of it is, I'm going to stop saying that things they're not easy. They're not natural. So,
right. Makes sense.
Given a choice, you know, you're like, I don't, you know, we're inclined to take the shortest route.
Right.
So when you put guardrails, I've been using the term guardrails a lot. Um, when you put guardrails on yourself, there's a challenge to start adhering to the guardrails.
Right.
Like it's really a challenge, like, because you came up with the guardrails, so there's no one checking you on them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So no one is like, so you have to be like, I'm going to stick to this, and
Right.
it takes a certain level of discipline and commitment to set on something you put on yourself. I think
Right.
that's the essence of accountability. All these words come up all the time. These self-help places and what happens so much. Just like the checklist, they're big time ideas, they're big time concepts, but we don't get into the depths of how to get things. How do you get to a lower level, and how do you
Right.
get out of stuff? So I
Right.
think I just came up with the topic for today, but that's how you get out of it. It's falling off of this checklist stuff, but takes a lot of work, people. Takes a lot of work to be successful. And interestingly enough, those of us that are in the workforce, a lot of these skills relate to that as well. And you're doing your job, and you got, you get trained to do your job, but you come up with a way that you actually do the job. You handle it. You start creating your own situation, not to go off script with the organization, but you do things that are like, this is how I execute day in, day out. This is how I execute.
Right.
You got control of that. I always say, I think people got the right to work how they want to work, so like that. But yeah, so that's the checklist manifesto. But go check it out. You can get an Audible, you can get Kindle, or you can use a app like Blinkist or Headway to check the summary. Any
No
final
sponsors
thoughts?
there either. No sponsors.
No,
No.
I mean it's
sponsors
that's
there.
all right though. But that shows that we real. Because I could easily just be like, nah, I'm not going to tell you where to find it.
I would say this book, we talk about a lot of books. We use a lot of books. We apply a lot of methodologies to books and things of that nature. I would say that this book was paramount in not only why a checklist is important, but the case study that they use behind it, which is the medical industry and aviation, just as you had mentioned, right? And if you think about a lot, again, one of us for the most part has visited a hospital or emergency room, whether for ourselves or loved ones, right? Most of us have traveled, whether it be by plane, train, or whatever, automobile, right, or boat, right? And so if we actually read this book has allowed me to understand why things are the way they are from the front, because I'm not on the back end of the operational aspect. What does it take to actually take a flight or to travel? You know what I mean? Putting your life in the hands of others. What do they have to do? What's holding them accountable in order to move through the process? So it's kind of the same when you think about it from a business perspective, and you have clients, and this allows you to kind of, judge your processes and judge your core values and the cultures and your deliverables, which equals out to the customer experience. You know what I mean? As well as for those that have employees, the employee experience as well, because the employee experience is good. Is the most important piece to making sure your customer experience is good, right? So, but yeah, check it out. As James has mentioned, definitely check it out, even if you take the short version of it. Right. You'll check it out and hopefully something will jump out that you can apply and just kind of work through it, man. You
Yeah.
know, all of this stuff is we just working through. How can we get better? How can we improve what we're doing? How can we make it second nature to what we're doing, and so on? That's all.